I'm Courtney Fallon, and welcome to The Game Plan on Reach TV, your insider guide to this week's key NFL action. In The Game Plan, I tap into the Bleav podcast network to bring you the most important information you need to know for this week's big games. Week 10 delivered one of the most exciting weekends of the NFL season, from the record amount of game-winning field goals to some unlikely upsets. It was a week to remember. Now, to go over some of the biggest headlines before Week 11 arrives, I am joined by Matt Sims from the Sims Complete podcast. Matt, let's play 3 and Out.
Let's do it.
The Vikings, first down. The Vikings have overcome a lot of adversity to be where they need to be right now, including an 0-3 start, losing their franchise quarterback. How were they able to turn things around, and are they playoff contenders? And I mean, just lay it on me on everything that is Josh Dobbs. I hope he can find the locker room this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the great stories of the NFL right now, Josh Dobbs and what he has done. First of all, at Arizona, playing extremely well and keeping them in a lot of those football games. But now his performance in Minnesota, and the fact that he's able to understand even what the offensive plays are so quickly, to develop a rapport and chemistry with his teammates so quickly, and to then do what he's been doing in the pocket, completing passes down the field aggressively with the great arm talent that he has, but his ability to extend plays with his legs has been tremendous. This dude is one of the must-see watches in the NFL right now.
Second down, before I basically run the clock all the way down on all 3 of our downs. The Steelers are now 6-3 and winning 2 straight. And Mike Tomlin seems to be doing a lot with the team that he was given. Is this the year that he finally wins the Coach of the Year award?
Yeah, I'd also say DeMeco Ryans maybe is in consideration for that too, considering what they've done with that organization from last year to this year. It's been a complete 180, but Mike Tomlin is absolutely doing one of the greatest coaching jobs that we've seen in the NFL this season. And really what you're seeing is a coach that really understands what his team is built upon. It's about being physical in the trenches on both lines of the line of scrimmage, with great offensive line play and great defensive line play. And really their main goal is just to make every game as ugly as possible, and they do that every week. Every week you're like, no, this will be the week that this system fails them, and they just keep getting it done.
All right, Matt, final third down. The Texans have also, talking about DeMeco Ryans, have also won 2 straight, now sit right behind the Jags in the division. Did anyone expect Houston to be this good this season? And I mean, this is my even bigger question. CJ Stroud, MVP conversation, you gotta have him in there right now, right?
Definitely. I mean, if we're saying that this guy is, 1, 2, or 3 right now as far as quarterback performances this season, then he has to be in consideration. I make the debate that we should separate quarterback of the year MVP and then league MVP, because there's so many other players that obviously just kind of get overlooked in this situation. But DeMeco Ryans, credit to him, Bobby Slowick, that coaching staff is doing a phenomenal job on both sides of the football. To think that they would go in and beat Cincinnati with a game-winning field goal after we thought the Bengals, quote-unquote, found their mojo is just amazing to me. So they are definitely another team that is a must-watch in a little bit more entertaining way than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We always do a bonus question here on The Game Plan. Your top defense and your top offense so far this season. That is my bonus question.
Ooh. There's definitely a few teams in consideration for that. But when this offense is healthy, and we saw it this weekend, when Deebo Samuel, when Trent Williams are out there on the football field with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Brock Purdy and all of them, like the whole team together, they are one of the best offenses in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers. And then best defense, I maybe have to go back to either Mike Tomlin and what the Steelers are doing, because they're winning a lot of low-scoring games, but it really is the entire AFC North. Whether it's, the Cleveland Browns or the Baltimore Ravens, what they've done, Jim Schwartz, unbelievable performance, and what he's got these Browns guys playing like right now, top in the NFL in just about every statistical category. So the entire AFC North would be my answer for best defense in the NFL right now.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us. This was super fun, super informative.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, I'm breaking down my 3 key games that you need to know for Week 11. Stay right there. Each week, I like to focus on 3 key games that you need to know about. And entering week 11, I've circled these 3 matchups that we need to cover. My first key game is a rematch of Super Bowl 57. Are you ready? It's the Eagles and the Chiefs. Yes, the Eagles are flying to Kansas City to battle the Chiefs at Arrowhead, which I have always said at this time of year is cold, loud, and unforgiving. It's a tough place to play in Kansas City. Well, both teams are coming off of a bye, so they'll have plenty of time to rest for this huge game. Although I'm sure the Philly has been preparing for this revenge game since the NFL regular season schedule was announced in the spring. The Eagles are currently on a 3-game winning streak and have shown to be road warriors as they are 4-1 away from the link this year. To find out how the Eagles can move to 9-1 and remain the top team in the NFL, let's hear from Mike Gill and Eitan Shanders from the Bleav in Eagles podcast. Guys, how can Philly get the win and get it done?
Thanks, Courtney. Well, the Eagles and Chiefs meet again in a Super Bowl rematch. The Chiefs will host the Eagles in a rematch of last season's Super Bowl. The Chiefs overcame a 10-point deficit at halftime. They won the game 38-35, but Eitan, 73 combined points, third most in Super Bowl history. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts combined for 7 touchdowns. So, how will this year's matchup look like?
I think a little different, Mike. I think this game is won by whichever team outrushes their opponent by 30-plus yards, because neither team is going to take their foot off the gas. Whoever blinks first, Andy Reid or Nick Sirianni, is going to actually wise up, start running the football, and that's going to be the difference.
We got Mahomes and Hurts battling for an MVP right now. We got Eagles and Chiefs. It's all going down this weekend. Back to you, Courtney.
All right, so despite this being a Hurts versus Mahomes matchup, Eitan says this game will be decided by the running game. That is a very interesting take. The Eagles have maintained balance on both sides of the ball pretty well lately. That's what I like about this Philly team. The Kansas City Chiefs return from the bye week with a 7-2 record and the inside track to the #1 seed in the AFC. In their last game, they put on a show in Germany, stopping a prolific Dolphins offense to secure the win. To help us understand how they can beat the top team in the NFC, we're talking about the Eagles. We're going to talk to Jeff Fedotin and former Kansas City Chief Joe Valerio. Guys, this is what the show's called. What's the game plan?
Thanks, Courtney. Joe, Eagles at Chiefs. This may be the game of the year. Super Bowl rematch. It's the Kelsey Bowl. There's the Kelsey and the Swift on both sides. It's the Andy Reid versus old team. It's the teams with the 2 best records in their respective conferences. Joe, what do you think?
Well, Jeff, how do I top that introduction? You know, as far as your take on this game, right? After that Super Bowl, it was exciting. It was close. 2 teams with lots of connections. You've got the 7-2 Chiefs coming off a big win against the Dolphins in Germany. So now the stage has been set for a Monday night matchup with both teams coming off the bye.
Totally, right? See, and we'll add a little bit of drama with the Taylor Swift stuff. She apparently grew up an Eagles fan, but you would think she's rooting for Travis and the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, Taylor Swift's going to have the same issues that I had with that Super Bowl.
Who do you like real quick in this, Joe?
I like the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win by 3.
Ah, yes, big game indeed. Come on, it's a Super Bowl rematch. Of course it's going to be a big game. But we also have a bold prediction there, Joe. Chiefs by 3 in this big game. But here's the thing on my list. I think the Eagles are going to get into this thing good and a little late. I think the Eagles are the more consistent team here. And I'm taking Philly over the Chiefs. Super Bowl rematch. My second key game of Week 11 brings us out to Buffalo as the Bills host their division rivals, the New York Jets. This is a must-win game for both teams. The Bills are struggling. They have lost 2 straight. They fired their offensive coordinator this week, Ken Dorsey, and they haven't put up 25 points in 6 straight weeks. They are a hot mess. To find out how they can right the ship, if they can, against the Jets, let's hear from Mookie Hawkins and Justice Radford from the Bleav in Bills podcast. Guys, what can we expect from the Bills this week, and is there hope?
Thanks, Courtney. Bills lose another heartbreaker, this time at home to another conference opponent, bringing them to 500 on the season. What do the Bills have to do to turn around this season?
Right now, they just got to really take it really one game at a time. After this heartbreaking loss, with the Broncos, the biggest letdown has been this offense. And, with the firing of Ken Dorsey and you bringing in Joe Brady, maybe, things could get back to a more consistent manner. They need to just get back to getting Josh under center, running the football, so that main element of play action could take its natural course.
And we got another division opponent coming up this weekend. We got the Jets coming into Buffalo.
First and foremost, the Bills definitely need to win this game. They cannot afford to lose any more divisional games, or the Bills' playoff hopes be slim enough. Plus, the Bills need to get their lick back, from Week 1 against a solid defensive Jet team.
That'll do it for us here at Bleav in Bills. Back to you, Courtney.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, getting Josh right under center and running the football efficiently. Joe Brady is the new offensive coordinator, and he's going to steady the ship. That was what their advice was. So the Jets were able to overcome losing Aaron Rodgers in the opening drive of the season to shock the Bills in Week 1. It's been a rocky road since then for the Jets. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak, giving them a 4-5 record on the season, and there's plenty of questions being asked about their offense. To find out how they can repeat their Week 1 performance, let's talk to Rami Levy and former New York Jets running back Bilal Powell from the In-Flight Snack podcast. Guys, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. The Jets have a big game again this week against Buffalo. After losing their last 2 games in prime time, they travel to Orchard Park to face the division rival Bills at 4:25 on Sunday. Of course, the Jets beat the Bills in Week 1 of the season. This week, the Bills are going to be at home looking for revenge. And Bilal, what do you think the key to the game is going to be for the Jets?
I think the key to this game is going to have to pretty much be the winning the turnover battle. We have to score, and I think our defense has to do a tremendous job on 3rd down.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard against Josh Allen. You got to get off the field on 3rd down. My prediction for the game, I think the Jets will fall against the Bills. I don't think their offense is good enough to keep up with this Bills offense that's going to be looking for revenge.
I don't think the New York Jets get in the end zone. I don't think they find the end zone. I think they get down there, and we depend on the field goal, the kicking game again.
That's how it's been the last few weeks. The Jets haven't had a chance to get in the end zone. They've been stopping at field goals, and that's been what's killing the Jets so far the last few weeks. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, the equation is simple, according to Bilal. Limiting the turnovers and scoring in the red zone. 1-2 punch. All right, these are my thoughts on the game. We saw what happened to the Raiders after they changed coaches. I think that is possible with the Bills as well, especially for their offense. But listen, New York football fans, how much patience do you have to watch this game? It might be a slow one, but I'm taking the Bills. My final key game of Week 11 is an AFC North battle as the Steelers travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns. With both teams at 6-3 and half a game from the top spot in the division, this game will have huge implications. The Steelers have been impressive this season, despite having a below-average offense. Pittsburgh has won 4 of its last 5 games while holding each of their opponents to 20 points or less. To find out if the Steelers will be able to beat the Browns again this season, let's hear from Mark Burgeon and 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Steelers, Ike Taylor. Guys, what is the game plan?
Thanks, Courtney. NFL Week 11, Steelers and Browns. Deshaun Watson in the second half against the Ravens. Ike, it kind of reminds me of how we get excited of Kenny Pickett in the fourth quarter, but Browns have some injuries on their offensive line as well.
Yeah, I mean the Browns playing like dogs right now. they playing real good football. This is gonna be a good one between Pittsburgh and the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns of old no more.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Ike, but 6 of 20 in the first half, and that contract Watson has got has not been worth it. I said before the start of the season, I didn't think Kenny Pickett would be the 4th best quarterback or the worst quarterback in the division. We'll see what happens Sunday. I like the Steelers in this one. If the Browns are continue to be banged up front, we'll see Sunday afternoon. Second of this matchup this season, again in Cleveland. We'll see what happens Sunday. Steelers, Browns. Courtney, we'll send things back to you.
Well, it sounds pretty similar to the first game between these two teams. Their defense will be the answer in this game again. The Browns made a dramatic comeback on the road to beat the Baltimore Ravens in Week 10. This was a statement win for Cleveland, who also has won 4 of their last 5. All the keys to these wins, the Browns' outstanding defense, which is currently the best in the NFL. To find out if Cleveland can avenge the Week 2 loss against the Steelers and win their third straight, let's talk to Max Loeb and three-time Pro Bowler and former Cleveland Brown Eric Metcalf from the Dawg Check podcast. Guys, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. Eric, possibly the biggest game of the year. Steelers-Browns in Cleveland, potentially for first place in the AFC North. What are you looking at this weekend?
First and foremost, this game was going to be big. But now, with what's at stake, like you said, the possible lead in this division, it gets even bigger. And so I'm looking forward to this defense going in there this weekend and once again just punching the Steelers in the mouth. Their offense hasn't been very good throughout the course of this year. And so I think that the defense needs to go in there and put a stranglehold on this offense and say, Kenny Pickett, prove you can beat us. Offensively, I would like to see us kind of bully their defense,
Yeah.
so we can run the ball.
There you have it. Browns-Steelers this coming Sunday. Going to be an enormous game. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, listen, if you watched our show last week, we had the great Lofa Tatupo give his power rankings of the AFC North. And I waited, and he dropped the Browns down to last in the division. I wasn't buying it then. I thought, nah. Don't disrespect this Cleveland Browns team. They're going to win again on Sunday. You heard it here first. So those are my key games for Week 11. Next up is everything that you need to know to win your fantasy matchup. Okay, it's that time again to play Pick 6 on the game plan, and joining me to pick his Week 11 lineup is one of the other Kavanaughs. It's Jack Kavanaugh from the Bleav in Lions podcast. We love those Lions up there in Detroit. Shout out to Jack. Welcome to the show. You ready to play Pick 6?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. I am so ready, and go Lions.
We will go through step by step to pick out your perfect fantasy lineup for Week 11. And we shall start with Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs just fills all of those boxes. His ceiling is astronomically high. I mean, he's an aerospace engineer. Tell me why you love him this week against the Broncos.
Well, aside from having the perfect name, the Pastronaut, just the best nickname in all of the NFL. Over the past 3 weeks, he's scored over 20 fantasy points, and this season, he's done it 5 times, scored over 20 fantasy points, and he didn't even know the Cardinals playbook either. He was still learning that on the job. Josh Dobbs gonna score a touchdown with his legs, gonna throw 2 touchdowns. It is going to be beautiful.
All right, well, let's move on to running back. You got David Montgomery against the Bears. Why did you pick him over some of the other running backs? Why is that your favorite this week?
Well, part of it is I am obviously biased for the Detroit Lions, but this is a revenge game, and not all games where you play your former team are revenge games. Sometimes you had a great experience, sometimes it's more of a homecoming. That is not the case with David Montgomery. He was not happy with his time in Chicago. He felt disrespected on his exit, and now he gets to feast against one of, if not the worst defenses in the NFL. This has all the makings of one of those 25 carries, 150-yard, 2 touchdown games from David Montgomery when the Lions blow out the Bears by 14, 20 points.
Okay. And the next pick that you have is someone that I highlighted last week. I'm just going to say, Tank Dell, rookie wide receiver. He is having quite the season. Why do you love him against the Cardinals, Jeff?
Well, I mean, we've all seen what the Houston Texans just did against the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the games of the year, but this wasn't even his best game from Tank Dell. Tank Dell scored 18, almost 19 fantasy points, so when 18.5 fantasy points is one of your medium games, I will take that every single day. The Cardinals don't have anyone that can cover Tank Dell. He is going to be separating, getting open. They're going to be putting up points. This is going to be a good old-fashioned shootout, and Tank Dell, wide receiver 1 for the Houston Texans, is going to be the biggest beneficiary.
All right. Well, I mean, let's talk about the other guy that's going to be scoring on the other side of the field, Trey McBride. I mean, like, is this guy like a must-start right now with Kyler Murray coming back? It seems like he should be like, this should be your plug-and-play guy. If you're looking for a tight end, hopefully he's still there in your fantasy lineups.
He's still available on like 40% of waivers, something ridiculous like that, and he should be starting everywhere. You have to start him every week unless you've got Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta from my Detroit Lions. Other than that, I think it's Trey McBride, probably the tight end 4.
I use every person that comes on the Game Plan show. I take their advice, I take it to heart, and so do all of our producers as well. We're winning over here. And you're going to be winning if you start the Cowboys defense against the Panthers.
And we do enjoy the Dallas Cowboys, especially against the Panthers. The Panthers have been terrible this season. Bryce Young has not looked good, and he's getting sacked in bunches. Bryce Young is just taking a beating. This is going to be one of those games where the Cowboys win by 30 plus points. Bryce Young might get pulled to keep him healthy. Micah Parsons is going to eat. Secondary with all the pressure is going to get some turnovers as well. Go Cowboys.
Okay. All right. So for your waiver wire to finish this up, you got a couple of notes here. Just talk me through who you're going to pick up for your waiver wire pick for this week.
So this week, we've got a couple different guys that we are picking up. Leonard Fournette is one of them. He was a healthy and active for the Buffalo Bills, but he is one of those guys like Josh Dobbs. He's still learning the playbook. And the Bills just made a big change at offensive coordinator. They fire Ken Dorsey. Joe Brady's going to step in and call the plays. Leonard Fournette, he's not going to be the RB1 for the Bills, but he's going to be taking some receptions. He's going to be getting some touches at the goal line. So Leonard Fournette is someone you absolutely have to add before he has his breakout game this week.
Okay, all right. I mean, listen, I'll take that. I'm loving your ideas on that. And thank you so much for joining the show. This was so informative, and I love it. Thank you. We'll have you on again.
Once again, thank you so much for having me.
And that's all the time we have on the Game Plan today. Go check out the Bleav Podcast Network for more in-depth analysis on every team in the league. And don't forget, you can catch every NFL game live on Reach TV all season long. We'll see you next week.